Ready?
G'day everyone and welcome to Flock. I am your host Lyle Swithenbank at Lyle Swithenbank on Twitter. Part of the Old Man Squad Sports Network at Old Man Squad on Twitter. Go and give them a follow. They will follow you back. So what are we here to talk about? Well, it's the Pelicans. It's media day. The season has officially kicked off. I suppose the start of the pre-season as we launch into the coming season. As always, media day is always full of some insightful tidbits, maybe not as insightful as years gone by, and thankfully, Griff confirmed no injuries as of the date of recording. We have no injuries, we've got a fully healthy squad. Brandon Ingram fully recovering from the knee that dogged him into the end of last year, as we know, gave him a bit of strife, and everyone else ready to rock and roll. Noticeably thinner Zion Williamson. We know we'd heard all the rumours throughout that he wanted to come in at about 270 pounds. I don't know what that converts to in kilos, but he looked really good. And I think that's the main thing. We always hold our breath. We get the little pictures and things that come out on social media, but to see him looking really healthy and happy and locked in, I think that is going to hold us in good stead going into the season. It was interesting. I suppose as our off-season sort of transpired, the main narrative was Brandon Ingram going in on the expiring deal. There was discussions with Brandon about that, and we got a bit of clarity in that, they're trying to work things out, and I think Griff was a little, not cagey, but I think he kept his cards close to his chest. They'll work out what they want to do, and, if it fits within the build of the team and under the new CBA and to that ilk. And I thought that was a fair comment. I think we're at a situation where if you hand Brandon Ingram $50 million a year, well, are you then completely locked in with this team? And we've seen that there's allegedly no appetite for him to go anywhere else. So is he even more appealing if he's on a full max? And then say he gets injured or he has a down year and doesn't buy in, which, to be fair, didn't sound like was going to be the case. It sounds like everyone's on the same page. He's going to start shooting more threes and play in that team role. He's got DeJounte Murray now, who's one of his old friends, passing him the ball and getting him in a position to be successful, and I think that's all we can ask. He said at the end of the year, I need a point guard. Well, they went and got one. They got a top tier one, or the next tier under top tier, and he's going to put you in a position to be successful. DeJounte touched on that. He said, that's my role. He talked about catching up with CJ. This is DeJounte. And CJ was asking where DeJounte likes the ball, and DeJounte's retort was, well, that's my job. I'll be putting you in a spot where you like the ball. So we can already see that he's coming with that dominant personality. He's going to lead from the front, and it sounds like he wants to put the players in positions to be successful, and that's all we can ask. And that's why we go and get those top-tier point guards, someone that has led, has the clutch gene, and likes to win games. So I'm excited from that. That's sort of the overarching themes, the alpha mentality from DeJounte. We've got Brandon Ingram's contract, and we've also got, I suppose, Zion Williamson's mentality and physical well-being coming into this season. And we go as these three go. That's the reality of it. And if all three of them are on the same page, well, I think we're going to be pretty tough to beat. So I think we'll start at the top after that sort of brief summary. And we're just going to take stock of what we've got. So, Daniel Tice gets in there. He is our only true centre with any NBA experience. And by true centre, I mean he's 6'7", 6'8". He's small. And when asked, Griff and Trajan talked about not having a traditional centre and that there were a number of different lineups that we could go with, and he called Tice a conduit, and that he'd played at a high level. He's good at creating offense. He can rebound. He has been successful at other clubs that he's at, and of course in his national campaigns as well with Germany. And they wanted to bring someone in like that. So I can see the mentality. I mean, he's not very tall, but what Bryson Graham talked about is that we're very long. And if you've got a team that's very long, well, it means they've got long arms. It means they can grab rebounds, is I think, the mentality. The difficulty will be, of course, in a tough Western Conference, you've got big centres. There's Wemby, there's Jokic, there's Sabonis, there's, the list goes on and on and on, all the way down. Everyone's got a fair-sized centre at different places. Maybe OKC will match up okay with, although Chet is tall, he's a bit more lean. Wemby, perhaps, he's a bit skinnier, so maybe we can shut him down with, playing undersized on him. But it's going to be a really interesting situation in that I think everyone has to buy into the rebounding. Everyone has to commit to putting a body on somebody and making sure that they're boxing out. And I'm sure there will be a focus on that the defensive possession doesn't finish until we secure the rebound. And at times, even with Jonas, we got caught out on that end. So it would be good to make sure that became and hopefully it becomes a focus in training camp, that's where the possession ends. And if we get out and rebound, then we push the pace. And I think Willie Green, when he talked about the lineups that we had, well, he's going to experiment with everything else. He did not commit to a starting lineup. He didn't say, yep, Daniel Tice is going to be playing X number of minutes. He instead said, we're going to try everything out. No one's been told anything. So could there be a situation where CJ goes to the bench? Well, perhaps. Maybe. Well, I think it probably does fall out with DeJounte coming in. I think you leave Herb in and you play that defensive duo of DeJounte and Herb, and I'm quite looking forward to that. It means it's a really long starting lineup. Another part of getting this starting lineup to fit is seeing where Trey fits in. Is Trey happy taking this six-man role again? He gives the desire that he wants to start. He said that, and I think he can start in just about any team in the league. But again, what we need to ensure is that he's probably closing minutes. I think the death lineup, I put in quotation marks, is one that we're going to have to keep an eye out with Zion at the centre or Herb at the centre and with Trey Murphy in there. And it's going to be really interesting to see what shakes out when you've probably got 8 guys that could make up some combination of a starting lineup. And that, I think, is going to be really interesting. Willie Green even intimated that perhaps there's different starting lineups on different nights, which I, for one, I'm not really that keen on. I think you need to be able to have surety in your role. Otherwise, you're going to get guys that are expecting to start, and then all of a sudden, we're going to run with the small ball today, or we're going to go ultra big today, or I don't know, depending on the matchup. So I think they're going to have to flesh that out. I mean, I have full faith in Willie Green, and I suppose that may be famous last words, but we're going to see what happens here. And as the guys go through training camp, which we'll talk about briefly towards the end of today, because day one is in the books, and we've seen the videos post workout in Nashville, we're going to see what sort of crazy lineups they run. And by crazy, I mean we're leaning into this non-traditional starting centre, which we all cried out, gosh, Jonas isn't being used properly, and he's too big, and we needed a different centre. Well, we've got smaller guys, and whether Carlo Makovic can turn into that backup centre, and I hope he can quicker or sooner rather than later, or perhaps a starting centre if it all comes together for him. That I think would be really, really handy, and I think having that professional experience could really help us in the depth chart and give the coaching staff even more of a headache, but we'll see. So, what else happened at Media Day? Well, DeJounte came in. He said this is where he wants to be. He wants to lead from the front. He wants to make guys better. And he talked about his relationship with BI. He'd worked, went to school with BI many years ago now, and I think they sort of always talked about coming together. We'd heard that rumblings of that a few years back when he was traded from the Spurs that we should have gone after him, but it's happened now, and hopefully it appeases BI a little bit. It also gives everyone else another person to hold them accountable in the locker room. There's a picture that's come out from Media Day of DeJounte in Zion's ear. Obviously, it's a photo, so we don't know what's said, but it looks like he's coaching him up, and they're talking and communicating. And if you get more options than just having Zion having to bring the ball up and then score, well, all it's going to do is make him look better. All it's going to do is put Zion in a position to be successful. If he doesn't have to run it up the court or come and get it at the top and can instead be given the ball down low where he can then go and dominate with his strength and finesse, well, I'm here for it. It just makes him harder to read and to guard. And also, it makes the defenses accountable because you got better players around him. So, that's what we're on, right? We're in Zion-centric offense. And if BI is going to buy in on the threes, well, golly gosh, there's going to be some space for Zion to operate because there's not a center down there either. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. We'll see more as training camp goes on, and we'll discuss that in the coming days as we get more information as to how they're sort of trending. I think day one was more about getting everyone together and a bit of fitness and the like, to conditioning to make sure that everyone's in good nick coming into the season. So, other key takeaways from training camp. Well, from training camp, we saw Jose Alvarado. He just signed his new deal, the extension for 3 years. Extra 2 years would take him to $16 million over a couple of years. And what I love to see is that we're rewarding a guy that just shows up. I mean, there's not very many games that Jose doesn't come in and impacts us. In fact, some games we needed him. There were games that he won off his own shooting and his own defense. So I'm really excited to see that he got rewarded, and I think he's going to have a really big impact this season as well. Disappointing, obviously, that we lose Najee because we sort of had the duo there as BI's mates, but it's really cool to see that he's been rewarded. Najee as well over in Dallas, but Jose especially, and I'd love to see him stay here for as long as he wants to play. As long as he keeps doing what he's doing, brings the attitude and brings the intensity, I think he makes players better around him, and I love seeing him play. He is just excellent. So, who else did we see? We saw Jordan Hawkins. He talked a little bit about the Summer League. Wasn't his best showing, and I think he admitted that. It was a tough one for him, and he comes into a year where there's no guaranteed minutes. There's another guy that's just been added to his spot, and I think there's some question marks about him. We know he can shoot the ball, but can he buy in on the defensive end? Is he big enough? I think the answer is let's wait and see. I think the Pelicans have shown that they're willing to give him the minutes when he wants it, except down the stretch where, I don't know, it disappeared. But if he can earn them, perhaps he'll get to play. And I think if it's whether he earns those minutes in the training room or he earns them in training camp, or he's just given minutes in the rotation, well, I think he's going to take them. And I think he's got a good enough instinct and mentality and attitude that when he's given an opportunity, he's going to show out. And another shooter to play alongside guys that are going to draw defenders, which just gives him open looks. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan Hawkins' second year. I hope it really comes together for him, and I think he could be a big piece for us as we go through, the January and February sort of doldrums where we need to bank wins and guys are a bit banged up and we get a bit deeper into the bench. But I, for one, am excited for that. Another guy that we got to see a little bit of was CJ, of course. CJ came in, he was asked a lot of CBA questions and the like as the president. You've got to. He made a good comment about needing to spend the luxury tax to win, and to segue a little bit to what Griff talked about previously is that they're not opposed. The Pelicans are not opposed to spending in the luxury tax. They just don't want to do it until the team looks like it's ready to contend. The difficulty is that you're never going to know if you don't pay the luxury tax. Do you have to wait a year, waste a year, I suppose, of this moderate success to then say, let's go all in? And that's what it sounds like it's like. Not to say he's not making moves. He went and got DeJounte Murray, right? But what does all in look like? Well, it's tricky because if you've got a whole heap of draft picks and the like that you've acquired over, the journey there from the AD trade, they're all gone. The Drew Holiday trade, I don't think there's many left, maybe one or two protected picks or a swap or something. There's not much left from the Milwaukee Bucks either, and they're still really good. You've got to think about when to cash in on those, and I don't know whether or not we've been that good at that. Not to say we haven't got some good players out of it along the journey, but again, the 2021 draft class is the only one that's really still intact. All the other guys are gone. So, the last two first-round draft picks after Hawkins are gone. So, we're doing a little bit tough with that. What I will say to that, and back to CJ and his talk, is that given that the Pelicans have this appetite that once they're ready to go, they will go, we need to be in a position to be able to acquire it. And I think that comes from success. It needs people wanting to team up. It means that Zion's got to play a full season and the playoffs. It means BI's got to play as many games as he can and show out and either re-sign on a team-friendly deal or, we work that out thereafter. But he's in for a big payday and unrestricted free agent. He can basically go where he wants. Well, he can go where he wants if there's the money and the attitude from and appetite from other teams to get him. But we'll see what happens there. CJ also talked about embracing his role. He wants to be team first, which, he's changed his role every year that he's been here. As to whether he's happy to go off the bench, well, I suppose those conversations happen. He was told, he said that he hadn't been told anything and no one had really talked to them about lineups, and that was sort of the theme across the board. I don't think Willie Green knows himself yet, so we're going to see what happens there as to how it all shakes loose after training camp and probably pre-season as well, right? They're going to try different lineups against different teams. We're going to see what happens, and hopefully we can find some lineups that make sense and that can win us games. And most importantly, close games. We lose 22 when we trailed in the fourth quarter. You just can't have that. You can't just get blown out, particularly these close ones. Would we lose 6 or 7 in the clutch? You don't want to be on the wrong side of that again. You get DeJounte Murray in who can do that and close games. That's what the stats say, and he has the mentality to do it. It also gives more accountability to the defenses to stick to the players when you get better players out there. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Herb talked about the DeJounte Murray number swap. That was pretty good. He was happy to swap. He researched that DeJounte Murray had always worn 5, so he gave it across. But he's also even more excited to have another guy that he can then play defense with. A long guy that wants to guard the best player every night, and when one guy's not on, the other one can step up, right? And you just keep building. You just keep building up and up. And while we had Dyson a little bit last year, he wasn't the offensive threat that DeJounte is. So you don't get to keep the opposing defense honest, right? They can then slack off. Whereas here, if you leave DeJounte Murray, he'll kill you. So it's interesting to see that as Herb develops his scoring ability and DeJounte there, we're going to have some terrors on defense and then some really good scorers at the other end. And I'm looking forward to that. So, before we wrap up, I just want to touch on the first day of training camp. That, of course, was what we're going to finish up on. I thought I'd keep this one short and sharp. There's a lot of content going around media day, but we'll start ramping up again, of course, as the games start being played. We'll get more guests on. We'll keep that zinging. But let's finish with the videos from that were released in this morning, well, my time, from the Pelicans after day one of training camp. We were introduced with the first video from AD and Joel Myers, the commentators for the Pelicans, who were there and said Zion looks fantastic. Joel Myers was enamored with Zion, said he looked really, really good. The first session was a lot of conditioning, getting up and down, a bit of work and trying some different lineups, doing a few different sets, but nothing too hectic. They'll then go into the afternoon session, which we didn't get any media access to or any videos that came out of. So I think that's where they'll start trying some serious stuff out and see what sticks. We heard from Zion. They asked him briefly about the trip to China. He said that was great. Sort of changed his perspective on things. Great Wall of China was fantastic. And we got a few questions about him becoming the face of NBA and American basketball, one of the next man up Americans. Interesting line of questioning. I look forward to seeing the article that they were trying to get quotes for that. But yeah, I think he stayed really humble. He said, well, if I wasn't injured, I'd probably be in a position to do that. And if I'd be going to the Olympics and things like that, and hopefully by 2028, I'll be able to do that. So, we'd love to have the Pelicans representation on Team USA. We had Brandon Ingram, didn't sort of work out under Steve Kerr in the World Cup, but I think Zion in FIBA basketball would be unreal. We also heard from DeJounte and Brandon. They asked again Brandon about shooting threes. He said, well, sometimes I have the open three, but the the mid-range looks really nice. And I think he's now realised that, okay, well, while the mid-range looks good, you're actually collapsing the defense and making it even tougher because Zion's man's going to be there and all of a sudden you're shooting over two people. So if he's willing to shoot the three, this whole offense starts working. James Borrego's offense that he was brought in to do starts coming together, and I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be really good. And I look forward to hearing more as training camp continues, and hopefully we start getting a bit of clarity as to what's going on here. The Zion-centric offense is great, but everyone else needs to buy into that and be prepared to not sacrifice, but to fall in line and play their role. So I look forward to that coming together. I think the first game is on the 8th of December. It's like a 12 lunchtime game or something, so on a Tuesday. So I don't know what the mentality behind that is. I think the 14 people that can go that weren't going to take annual leave for it, that may have the day off or whatever, will enjoy the game. But it's bizarre that they've done that. It must be a clash or something. I'm not sure, but I hope it's broadcasted because I'll be watching, but that will be not midnight for me. So one of those more difficult ones, but we'll see what happens. But we'll keep you updated, guys. I think I'll put a pin in it from there. You can go and find all the videos and everything on the YouTube page from the Pelicans, and they've got heaps of good stuff on there. So make sure you go and check that out, and you'll see what I was referring to and talk about all this stuff. But we'll be back soon with another episode of Flock. I have been your host, Lyle Swithenbank. This is an Old Man Squad Sports Network presentation at Lyle Swithenbank on Twitter, at Old Man Squad. Guys, stay safe. And of course, bye for now.